Now, the same reason that people vote for Donald Trump in America is the same reason why people vote for Julius Malema in South Africa. Because the mainstream media, who has been caught in so many lies, distortions, personal attacks, personal vendettas, or these coordinated strikes against certain people, are the same people that have been going after Julius Malema. And even if you are right with some of the things, you've lied so much, you've distorted so much, that we start to like the person who you are complaining about.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the podcast.
Am I allowed to swear in here?
In Sweden.
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated. Your view on me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the On the Contrary podcast with Emilio, Tobias. We are growing steadily. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share if you want. Let's talk about it in the comments. Let me hear what you have to say. Especially if you disagree with me, please come through. Let's discuss. Let's talk about it. Just don't swear my mother. Don't swear my mother. So this week, we kind of knew it already. Trump says he's not coming. He's not coming to the party. And everyone's invited. But he wants to feel like it's his party and all those things. So I guess like when you're in Africa, you definitely feel like it's not your party. But I don't know. Trump says he's not coming. But it's not also... The funny thing when people react to stuff, they like to act like it's their first time hearing something. Maybe people definitely have amnesia, or people don't hear these things when they come out, or we hear bits and pieces of information. Marco Rubio did say like in his first week that he doesn't see a need to come to the G20 or participate in any of the G20 activities leading up to the main event, where all the ministers meet and then certain portfolio committees from all the different governments where they meet and all those things. He already mentioned that he doesn't see a need to come through because of this, that, and the other. Now, this is not a point of debate or anything. We all know the bottom line of this thing is South Africa's insistence of not dropping the case against Israel. Stories are even coming up now that Iran funded it. Iran gave ANC money because ANC haven't had money in years. They've been struggling to pay people their salaries on ANC level. Now all of a sudden they have money. So they say no, Iran is the ones that paid them to be able to do that. It's also common knowledge that Iran paid Biden dropped certain sanctions against Iran that allowed them to make enough money to be able to fund Hamas to do the attack on the 7th of October. Then another question was, did South Africa know about the attack? Were they part of the strategy? Did South Africa know about the attack before the 7th of October? Most people on both sides of the argument don't believe South Africa knew or would have endorsed such a thing. Nonetheless, South Africa is now the front runner in the one fighting for innocent Palestinians who are getting killed. Although we must add that they did meet with Hamas leadership once the retaliation had started from, who's this guy? Benjamin. So Trump. So we feel all the old beef that we have against South Africa right now as Americans has to do with us taking the ally to court. So my view on that is let the ally go to court and go defend themselves if they didn't do anything wrong, and then boom. Now Trump doesn't want to come to South Africa. Now everyone seems disappointed, and I can't tell if we want him to come or we don't want him to come. Me personally, I would, as a fan of The Apprentice as an enjoyer of his comedy and his personality, as an agreeer to some of his policies, I would have probably voted for Trump if I was American. Which is funny because in South Africa I vote for EFF. I like EFF, or I like Julius Malema, and I like Donald Trump, and would have voted for Donald Trump. So we'll unpack that at some point. Like, is it personalities that I'm after? Is it the funniness that I'm after? Or maybe I'm just a political hoe and I don't know where my home is. I don't know where to sleep at night, or I can sleep wherever I want. But I don't know, do South Africans want Donald Trump to come if we feel like that about him? Or don't we want him to come? Or do we have a more practical approach of understanding that it's important that whoever the president of America is shows up, whether it's Joe Biden and he's going to sleep there the whole day, or whether it's Trump who's going to come in and be out of his depths. I don't even think Donald Trump has ever been to any African country in his life. But that would be quite interesting if he showed up. I think it would be important for him to come through. They're saying that he is scared to face everyone with his tariffs. But like, I find like something in common with Julius and Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump even now, the tariffs have been going on and some people were getting 50%, 30%. Yes, it's been dropped to 10% now. And people were panicking and whatever. And then China retaliated and then he said, okay, we'll drop everyone except China. Donald Trump is the type of politician or businessman that would do business, but if he saw you in person, we would have no issue with you. I think he's even said recently, like, nah, you know, the president of China, they talk normally, they're not angry with each other, they're not upset with each other. It's just business. Xi Jinping is looking out for his people. Donald Trump is looking out for his people. So I think Donald Trump would still like be cool in the room with other leaders and smile and make jokes and whatever. But when it comes to brass tacks, like, the business of the day is done. So I don't think it would be awkward for him to be there. I think probably the most awkward thing would be people deciding to protest. People deciding to protest outside the Sandton Convention Center, which I'm guessing that's where it's going to be. People deciding to protest outside consulates and embassies. Yeah, and they have the right to protest, but we find like a lot of these guys protest where it's like they need to make a name for themselves, type of a thing. But big question, do we want him there or don't we want him there? Because interesting enough, he's now for the first time since all the bad things that have been happening, it's been alluding to the farm killings or alluding to white genocide. For the first time now, the Truth Social post that he did, for the first time, it's actually saying what he's accusing the South African government of doing. Confiscating or taking land, and they're killing the farmers. Or they're taking farms and killing the farmers. Now, for the past 2-3 weeks, all the people that have been peddling the suggestion of a white genocide, because none of them have ever said it's a white genocide, but they strongly suggested it and inferred it. Nah, all of those people, Kali Kriel, AfriForum, Ernst Roots, and then also, quite disappointingly, someone who you would think was more objective in the whole thing, Penuel's friend, Rob Assoff, and then people like, okay, I'll mention who that was. But now, over the past 2 weeks, all of them have softened their insistence on all these things. So the conversations that they've been having with different people, because if you're in a room with Tucker Carlson and he believes you, he's not going to give a lot of pushback. He did give pushback to Ernst Roets, but not a lot. If you're going to speak to Michael Rubin, what's his name? Michael Rubin. What's this guy's name?
This might be.
What's his name? I think it's Michael Rubin. If you're going to speak to him, he's going to give pushback, and there's going to be things that he doesn't understand or it's not going to make sense to him. And you're not going to correct him or clear him or be super truthful. That was the issue with Rob Herself's interview with him, because it never felt Rob Herself was being truthful. And when Rob Herself speaks to Penuel, he has an understanding of the other side. So, what did I not bring this to? There's this insistence and this talking point of platforming and deplatforming people. That thing doesn't work. Can we stop it? People on the left, social warriors, activists, the others of us who are also on the left feel you are misrepresenting us and making us look like we make up stuff, like our position is airy-fairy. And if you continue with this thing of deplatforming people for their views, deplatform someone for doing a crime. Don't deplatform someone for having a different take. People are now upset with Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh for sitting with Elon Musk's father, even though he had a dope interview with MacG. He had a more not so dope interview with Vlad, who was not able to challenge him correctly on the stuff that he was saying. Sizwe, a way better person to interview someone that you disagree with, so that the corrections can be made. And in that interview, Errol Musk did mention no land is being taken. He mentioned that no, there's no white genocide. And he also, which that come across as racist, racially insensitive, not in a completely bad way, but he said, no, you have to really do a lot to push black people to crime or to murder or to anything of the sort, because he's never come across a not friendly black person. And then there's obviously layers to that. Some of us do feel like when you see a white person, you must look happy. But nonetheless, his impression of black people, even though he's been attacked by a gang of black people in his house before, that has never, from Sizwe's interview, not from Vlad's interview, that has never made him think of black people as savages and just kill for no reason, which is the impression that a lot of these guys are trying to put out there. So, if you get Errol Musk, who's informing Elon, who has regular contact with his son, with the situation and what's been happening, if Errol is able to say out loud, okay, no man, it's not like that, we're not trying to make it sound like that, the whole thing falls flat. Before you know it, everyone, or America, whether it's the American Congress, whether it's Donald Trump's administration, all these things, those things are all going to be cleared up and everyone's going to understand it better. We must also understand, from the American point of view, they have very limited ability to see what's going on here. You need to be living here for a good amount of time to understand the context of the whole thing. Yes, if you see Julius Malema singing Kill the Boer, it feels like white people are being targeted and attacked. But you need to be here long enough, or maybe even living as a South African. Yes, you might feel in danger, but you are just as in danger as everybody else. So this thing of not wanting to speak to people and who gets to choose who to speak to and who not to speak to, that is the biggest thing. Because what the people on the left don't understand is that it's these tactics, you that are so susceptible to being re-traumatized and traumatized and triggered and all those stuff, is you guys that would play into the hands of someone you disagree with. And people on the left don't like Donald Trump. Not everyone, not all of us. But this thing of deplatforming, not listening to people, not wanting to hear different views, this thing of being militant, this thing of being stubborn in your views, this thing of... That's why Donald Trump wins. Because the people who think they're the ones to decide who we should listen to and who we should not listen to are the ones that we don't want to listen to. We will rather go to the opposite side. That's why someone like Donald Trump would win and do so well. Similarly in South Africa. And now there's this notion that the mainstream media in South Africa is the government, is run by the government. That's never been true. That's never been true. The mainstream media is constantly in favor of the DA. The mainstream media is white monopoly capital. We don't like to use that word. The mainstream media are run by white-owned companies, are run by business, are run by the Rob Herschels of the world, who is in the process of building his own media company. And he's been the right-hand man to a big media person who's loved and hated in America for driving people's societies, way of thinking through media distortion and all those things. That's where Rob Herschel did his internship. Or maybe he wasn't even intern there. He was high up. Now, mainstream media in South Africa is not run by the government. The public broadcaster, which is a big news station, may have been or has been biased in the past, favoring the government, favoring the ANC. But it's a small percentage of where people get their news from. Mainstream media, ENCA, News 24, who else is there? Like the big dogs. Anyway. Now, the same reason that people vote for Donald Trump in America is the same reason why people vote for Julius Malema in South Africa. Because the mainstream media, who has been caught in so many lies, distortions, personal attacks, personal vendettas, or these coordinated strikes against certain people, are the same people that have been going after Julius Malema. And even if you are right with some of the things, you've lied so much, you've distorted so much, that we start to like the person who you are complaining about. And in this case, it's Donald Trump and Julius Malema. These two people are famous or popular for the exact same reason. Now, yes, EFF has dropped in the last election. Which speaks to my point. EFF dropped because of Jacob Zuma and the MK party, and the ANC also dropped for that very same reason. Now, Julius Malema, Jacob Zuma, Donald Trump are the same type of public figures, politicians. They're outspoken, they're against the grain, and they're loved by the people and hated by the media. You're telling me that it was the government media that made us drop Julius Malema's report that said Jacob Zuma didn't finish school. Yes, he didn't finish school, but that didn't mean he was dumb or stupid. Now, it's the same reason. I like all three of these people. I think it's a what's this word? When things don't agree with one another. What do you call that thing? It's a simple word, my bad. But it's a contradiction that I like both Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma. And it's also a contradiction that I like both Julius Malema and Donald Trump. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. I think the commonality amongst these three is that they are loved by the people and they are hated by the media. So maybe because of my ability to hear all sides of the story, but let's not what do you call this thing? Let's not silence or deplatform people that we disagree with. Let them be heard so that their bullshit can be clear to everybody. And then we decide for ourselves. If we decide wrong, so be it. We decided ourselves. That's what democracy is. Democracy is not you telling us who not to listen to. Democracy is not you telling us, hey. No thanks. No thanks. There's not much else happening. We're talking about tariffs. We're talking about Donald Trump coming to South Africa. We want him to come. We want him to have a good time. Maybe for after the presidency, you can look at doing a Trump hotel in Sandton. There's already Trumps there by Nelson Mandela Square, but I don't know if he's involved in the Trump steaks there. Very nice steaks I hear. I've never been there. Conservatives US think tank, the Hudson Institute, has warned South Africa that the United States could impose broad sanctions against it, including exclusion from the SWIFT global banking system. SWIFT is the only one. SWIFT code is the only way you can send money across the borders and stuff. What about Mpesu? What about those ones? The ones that like Zimbabweans and Nigerians used to send money. Is that using SWIFT? Or is that a different system? We'll figure it out. These guys are gonna drive BRICS to push for that currency properly. Anyway, I don't know much about that. Let's see what comes out and what happens. That's it from me today. Salani kahle, tot ziens, and bye. This was On the Contrary with Emilio Tobias. Please subscribe, man. Like, share, and if you are this far, I know. Then we are family. Sharp.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the Turn podcast.
Am I allowed to swear in here?
In Sweden.
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated.
Your view on me.